BBC London 94.9, Fiona McKinnon has a travel update.
Woolwich Ferry, that's not running because of the fog, so expect extra delays at Blackwall Tunnel.
At the turn of the year, two residents of London's Vauxhall found themselves at the heart of one of 2013's first big news stories.
I was just about to leave for work. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I just heard this helicopter incredibly close outside my bedroom window.
I was in bed, just checking my phone, scrolling through Twitter, and the next thing I know is there's this helicopter overhead, which is kind of unusual for that time of day, and it sounded really low. Then a really loud jet engine noise over the house and a really loud crumping kind of explosion that you really felt in your chest.
Oh mate, your car's on fire! Get out of the car! Get out of the car, man! Your car's on fire!
The men didn't know each other, but their instincts were the same.
I pulled out the phone and just took a quick video, just to show what had happened, really.
I saw a huge fireball. Just at that moment, I don't know why, but I decided to take a photo of it.
In the past few minutes, we've been getting reports that a helicopter's crashed in the middle of London.
This self-shot image, which would be tragically echoed at the end of the year in Glasgow, was just the start. "2013 was the year which put picture power in the hands of the people as never before. It gave us the selfie, the ultimate self-shot, self-published image. The first official royal photo, courtesy of a proud granddad. And the moment the year's #1 sporting hero turned his back on the press to give his fans the money shot. As well as some outstanding images captured by professional photographers, including the moment the world's greatest statesman left the stage. We'd see images created by witnesses to shocking events, by victims of them.
What this tells us is, in the worst situations, our instinct is now to record it, to look at it, to capture it, rather than to turn away.
And in 2013, we saw images created by those responsible for terrible events on our streets, alive to the propaganda potential of the handheld camera phone. And all shared, attached and tweeted long before they could appear in newsprint.
With social media, you take that snapshot, that moment, you don't know the context of it, you don't know the meaning, but it's already out there and people are consuming it.
There's a saying that Twitter is at its best during the 5 minutes or after a disaster, and at its worst for the next 12 hours. And there's some truth in that.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
No one could doubt that Craig Jenner's picture was the real thing. As soon as it started appearing on the internet, the Evening Standard knew they couldn't compete.
Just getting pictures through on Twitter this morning, actually, of those scenes in Vauxhall where a helicopter is reported to have crashed this morning, according to a witness we spoke to just now.
We had photographers on the ground, but by the time they had got to the scene, everywhere was cordoned off. We were obviously watching the Twitter feed, and the picture came up. The immediate impact was wow, and I thought, this ain't going to be bettered by anybody. This was going to go on the front page without question.
The powerful thing about this picture for me is the way that it shows something apocalyptic happening on an ordinary London morning. You've got this lovely blue quality to the picture. It's a misty morning, people are just getting up. It's still quite dark, there are lights on. And then right in the middle of this road outside this man's house, there's flames, there's a helicopter in flames. It's something out of a horror film, out of a nightmare.
Nick Walker's incredible video footage also appeared on news channels around the world, from Belarus to the USA.
All this was conducted on the iPhone in a Starbucks. I mean, that's really the true sign of what social media has let us do, is let me take a video of a major incident in the centre of London and send that to the world from a tiny little device in my hand.
Neither accepted offers of payment, not wanting to cash in on a tragedy. They were some of the first amateur news gatherers of 2013 to beat the professionals at their own game.
Emergency crews in southeastern Australia are racing to contain bushfires ahead of more very hot weather.
On the other side of the world, there were devastating forest fires in Tasmania.
These outbreaks are an unpredictable enemy and can turn in devastating fashion on the whim of the winds.
Grandparents Tim and Tammy Holmes and their 5 grandchildren were forced out by the flames.
I looked up to the hills and saw the flames licking over the crest of the hill. That was a very memorable sight, one that I'll never forget, of seeing the air, just a gas burning in the air, like a great gas burner.
The pictures taken on their mobile phone as the flames surrounded them amazed the world.
Tammy said, "Nobody will ever believe what we're seeing. Take some pictures with my phone." Thinking clearly under pressure, she had placed her phone on the jetty, so it was above our heads, and I was able to retrieve it quite easily and take some pictures, stand back a couple of meters and take pictures of the scene. And, you know, those pictures have told the story better than I can in words.
Your first reaction is, how the hell did they get there? What would you do? And it's like Dante's Inferno. You think, well, what would my reaction be? And they're sort of in the water, but then what? And it makes you ask 1,000 questions.
You don't just want to vanish, you want to leave a record. Maybe at some dark place in this man's mind, supposing they had all perished, perhaps the camera would have survived. Perhaps these images would have survived. Like a message in a bottle.
Storm clouds were brewing over Rome when photographer Alessandro De Mio's phone rang. History was being made at the Vatican.
Pope Benedict has shocked his closest advisors and Roman Catholics around the world by announcing his resignation at the end of this month.
The Pope had resigned and I had to rush to St. Peter's. At first I thought it was a joke, but the agency kept confirming it.
Religious leaders across the world have expressed their shock and sadness at the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI, who's announced he's stepping down because of his age and ill health.
La foto è nata nella mia testa, innanzitutto. E là mi è scattata la molla in testa. Ho pensato e ho anche detto...
When I go to do a job, I think about the photo I would like to take.
Se qua inizia a piovere...
And then it came to me. I said to 2 of my colleagues, if it begins to rain and there is lightning, I would like to take a photo of it, because the news about the Pope's resignation came like a bolt from the blue.
A prendere I fulmini perché non sempre cadono dal cielo. Avevo tutte le gocce di pioggia.
For 40 minutes or so, I didn't manage to shoot any lightning, as it doesn't happen all the time. I took a cloth to clean my lens, and while I was doing it, a lightning bolt struck the dome. I missed it, but I kept trying. Fortunately, some minutes later, another one hit the dome while I was shooting.
For some, Alessandro's pictures were too good to be true. With photoshopped imagery everywhere in 2013, was this just another fake?
My colleagues told me there were rumours on the internet saying my shot was fake, that it was a photo montage. At first I found this funny, but after a while it began to annoy and upset me because the shot had my name on it.
Fortunately, the lightning bolt was also caught on video, silencing the skeptics.
There are so many photographers who work a whole life and don't shoot a photograph as good as mine. I'm 34 years old and I've done it.
For me, as a person of faith, I'm very happy to say that that picture says to me, there is a God, pay attention.
In Chelyabinsk, Russia, further proof of the growing power of the digital lens in 2013. A falling meteor, captured automatically by dashboard cameras installed to foil corrupt traffic police.
Photographed by many people, the photographs are immediately shared all over the world. They are transmitted all over the world. You're no longer in the world which we were throughout much of the 20th century, when different parts of the world were divided, closed off from each other.
In 2013, we'd see many famous faces going to court. But nobody's fall from grace was more dramatic than Paralympic hero Oscar Pistorius.
Paralympic athlete Oscar Pistorius is charged with murder after his girlfriend was shot at his home. He was arrested in the early hours of the morning and will appear in court tomorrow.
A hero who'd gone against so much adversity, standing in court. This is a new adversity and you're trying to get your head around, well, what happened? What's he thinking? What's his father thinking? What's the family of his girlfriend thinking? What's happened?
Chris Harris, a staff photographer with The Times, had taken this famous picture of Nelson Mandela leaving jail in 1990. In February, he had another national hero in his sights, but this one was heading the other way. It almost never happened, though. Cameras are often allowed in South African courts before the judge enters, but there was a problem.
I phoned as soon as I got to the court and said, look, we're in time, but, the bad news is I don't think I'm going to get in. It was absolutely packed with journalists.
Undeterred, Chris Harris stood on a chair, which he requisitioned from inside, and poked his lens up against a window.
He just wanted to cry his eyes out. His face kind of screwed up as though he was about to burst into tears. No tears came, though. And he just looked forward and pushed his hands over his eyes like this. Seemed that the realization, everything that had happened, caught up with him. That was the moment for me.
In most UK courts, an artist can only sketch defendants. South Africa's more liberal policy allowed us a privileged insight into the drama of the courtroom.
The image of his father reaching out to him and Oscar not actually reaching back or leaning towards his father, I think is very painful to watch. Anybody who's been in a situation where their son or their child may have fallen, the instinctive reaction of a parent is to help them back to their feet and is to put their arm around them. And the picture almost screamed out and said, "Don't help me."